Is Kendrick Lamar really a hypocrite for teaming up with Playboi Carti? That one question has sparked a massive debate, flooded social media threads, and ignited countless arguments among hip-hop fans. Some say Kendrick betrayed his own moral code by associating with Carti, an artist charged in 2022 with felony aggravated assault, even though Carti's attorney insists he was falsely accused. Others argue that Kendrick's entire body of work has always explored human imperfection, and that a mere feature doesn't equal an endorsement. But is this collaboration truly a jaw-dropper, or is it simply another example of the messy reality behind music partnerships? Before we get lost in all the opinions, let's unravel the background. Carti's controversy. He was charged with assaulting a pregnant partner, though his defense claims total fabrication. Kendrick's reputation. He once accused Drake of manipulating women, calling out unethical behavior in his music. The core accusation. Drake loyalists now say Kendrick is two-faced for working with someone who carries serious allegations, especially after blasting Drake for similar issues. So, are they right? Let's dive into this explosive discussion, exploring the moral clash, the deeper truths in Kendrick's discography, and whether or not these features truly make him a hypocrite. It didn't take long for online critics, particularly Drake enthusiasts, to wave the hypocrisy flag. Why? Because Kendrick famously went at Drake for allegedly exploiting and mistreating women. Now, in their view, he's co-signing an Atlanta rapper under intense legal scrutiny for assault. For these skeptics, Kendrick's moral outrage feels a bit selective. The hypocrisy argument in a nutshell. Kendrick versus Drake. Kendrick once called out Drake's questionable dealings with women and took shots at his so-called entourage with weird cases. Double standard. Drake supporters see no difference between Drake teaming with problematic figures and Kendrick doing the same, especially since Kendrick once said Drake was running to Atlanta for easy money, but then turned around to collaborate with Atlanta's Future, and now Carti. Commercial gain versus moral code. Critics insist Kendrick's collaboration with Carti is a quick grab for hits, overshadowing any moral stance he previously championed. It's a heavy allegation, but is that the full picture? Let's keep going, because as any Kendrick fan will tell you, his music stands on the bedrock of nuance. First things first, Kendrick himself has not been accused of these acts. He's never condoned them either, quite the opposite. His discography brims with lyrics that spotlight moral dilemmas, personal flaws, and the uphill battle against social ills. One crucial question remains. Does jumping on a few Carti tracks mean Kendrick approves of Carti's alleged assault? For many fans, the answer is a resounding no. They argue that creating art doesn't always imply moral endorsement. In hip-hop, alliances form across complicated lines all the time. If an artist were judged solely by every collaborator's legal issues, it would dismantle much of the genre. Some fans take it a step further, insisting that working with Carti might even align with Kendrick's broader mission, to reflect on the gray areas of human nature rather than presenting a black and white narrative of good versus evil. That said, there's a difference between understanding nuance and turning a blind eye. Skeptics hold firm. A creative partnership can still be perceived as tacit approval. So, we have a clash of perspectives, one that perfectly underscores the complexities at the heart of Kendrick's entire musical journey. To see why this controversy resonates so intensely, you have to look at Kendrick's music. From Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, all the way to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, he's painted himself as a flawed narrator grappling with personal and societal contradictions. 3.1 Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. A cinematic tale of growing up in Compton, this album revealed a younger Kendrick flirting with the very temptations surrounding him. Crime, violence, substance abuse, he saw it all and nearly got pulled in. Yet he stressed personal accountability and showcased how vital his father's guidance was in keeping him from truly derailing. He memorably declared, "I'm just a good kid from Compton that want to rap. Weighing my options, pick up a Bible or a strap. I never took a man's life, never sold any crack. All I did was try to keep my city on the map." Instead of glorifying wrongdoing, he dissected its appeal while highlighting its brutal consequences. This balanced viewpoint, neither self-righteous nor destructive, helped the album resonate with listeners who grew up under similar pressures. 3.2 To Pimp a Butterfly. With fame came the next layer of conflict. To Pimp a Butterfly delved deeper into issues of race, cultural identity, and personal demon Lucy, an embodiment of greed and temptation. He dubbed himself the biggest hypocrite of 2015 on The Black or the Berry, openly confessing contradictions in his own activism. Tracks like How Much a Dollar Cost forced him, and us, to confront selfish impulses. Where some rappers flaunt wealth guilt-free, Kendrick painstakingly questioned the true cost of his success. Was he part of the same system that lured others into destructive patterns? Could he truly claim moral high ground? The The album insisted that the line between being complicit and being critical isn't always clear. 3.3 Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? On his more recent project, Kendrick disavowed the idea of being anyone's savior. The message was clear: don't place me on that pedestal because I'm flawed, just like you. He took on generational trauma, therapy, and how internal damage can shape external behavior. He famously featured Kodak Black, another artist with a troubled history, and showcased him throughout the album as a complex figure, not a one-dimensional villain. That choice alone rattled fans and critics alike, but it also echoed Kendrick's persistent theme. If we dismiss people entirely based on their worst deeds or accusations, do we ever allow for redemption or evolution? And do we forfeit opportunities to spark unity through music? Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying Playboi Carti represents a new, electrifying subculture of hip-hop. His fans are drawn to high-octane shows, experimental vibes, and that mesmerizing rage approach. But he's also got controversy swirling around him, from public spats to the current legal woes. So why might Kendrick link up with Carti? Some speculate it's about bridging the gap between lyric-oriented rap and hyper-energetic trap. Others think Kendrick sees potential in Carti's musical evolution, wanting to merge the rawness of Atlanta's rap wave with his own thoughtful brand. Still, the moral question persists. Should alleged abusers get a high-profile collaboration, especially from someone who's spoken so strongly against exploitation? Skeptics say no. Advocates say real growth sometimes emerges from these kinds of connections. Both sides cite passion and principle. This is the heart of the debate. Some believe music can and should transcend personal failings, especially if the legal claims remain unproven. Others insist that giving Carti a bigger platform feels like a tacit agreement with his alleged actions. Kendrick has faced these dilemmas before. He co-signed early work from XXXTentacion, who had his own serious accusations. He's collaborated with Chris Brown, a name forever linked to past infractions. He even defended artists' rights to streaming platforms when Spotify tried pulling them over hateful conduct. In each instance, critics howled about double standards. Yet every time, Kendrick seemed to pivot back to his underlying idea. I'm no saint, neither are you, neither are they. But maybe music can help us grow. Indeed, this human-centered perspective has become a signature in his discography. He never sugarcoats wrongdoing, but he rarely endorses outright exile for any flawed individual. It's complicated, and it might be exactly how he sees the world. To appreciate how Kendrick's current move might not be as hypocritical as it appears, revisit M.A.A.d and the Big Steppers. The track Mirror opened with Kodak Black's voice and concluded with Kendrick effectively saying, "I choose me." He rejects the role of moral overseer, highlighting that personal evolution starts at home. He even addressed how people got mad at him for not being vocal enough during the 2020 protests, explaining he grieves differently and can't always be the banner holder for social movements. And then there's We Cry Together, a track where he and Taylor Page reenact a vicious argument. In that heated exchange, the line, "You're the reason R." Kelly can't recognize that he's abusive surfaces, revealing that these discussions about messy, problematic figures are not foreign to Kendrick's lyricism. He airs them, grapples with them, and ultimately underscores that blame often gets passed around without any deeper healing. As he states on the album, faith in one man is a sinking ship. Put plainly, Kendrick is reminding everyone that you can't rely on him or any artist as your unwavering moral anchor. You have to look at yourself, your family, your community. Kendrick's fans have historically placed him on a pedestal as a conscience of hip-hop, someone who calls out wrongdoing and stands up for justice. But across his albums, he's steadily peeled away that heroic label, confessing that he too has contradictions. In an interview, he once said the absence of a father figure can lead young men toward destructive paths. Luckily, his father was there, guiding him away from traps that swallowed friends and neighbors in Compton. This shaped Kendrick's moral perspective, but it didn't make him a saint, just someone more aware of precarious choices. Now, when it comes to partnering with artists like Playboi Carti, that same drive to see beyond immediate circumstances seems front and center. Maybe he believes in music's power to unify, spark introspection, and shift perspectives. Maybe he figures that outright refusing to appear with Carti wouldn't necessarily address the root issues, while linking up might open a conversation. Or perhaps, as critics say, he's willing to look the other way for a musical moment. The truth likely lies somewhere in the messy middle. No matter how much we dissect it, this debate often lands on a fundamental question: should art be considered separately from the artist who creates it? Some fans have a zero-tolerance policy, refusing to support anyone facing heavy legal or ethical accusations. They see any collaboration as betrayal. Others adopt a more flexible stance, waiting for legal outcomes or personal growth before rendering judgment. Within hip-hop, countless revered figures carry complicated pasts. Do we simply erase them from the culture? Or do we allow space for redemption, even if it's a bumpy path? Kendrick himself has never offered a crystal clear answer. Instead, he's shown that reality is layered, and that moral lines are rarely neat. So, is Kendrick Lamar a hypocrite for working with Playboi Carti? The fast response might be yes. If you interpret his previous criticisms of Drake and his purported stand against misogyny as absolute and unwavering. But if you read Kendrick's entire tapestry of music, you see a man who's repeatedly said he is not pure, nor is anyone else. Some fans say this collaboration undermines his credibility and tarnishes his moral stance. Others say it's consistent with his worldview that people are flawed, capable of change, and that music can be a pathway for transformation. When Kendrick says, "I'm not your savior, don't look to me for all the answers," that doesn't mean he's endorsing Carti's alleged wrongdoing. It suggests he might believe in fostering dialogue or simply that he's comfortable separating the personal from the artistic. Whether that's a righteous stance or an ethical misstep is largely in the eye of the beholder. No matter what side you take, the conversation is far from over. If you feel that collaborating with someone under suspicion equates to downplaying potential harm, then it's tough to accept any partnership of this nature. If you see music as a neutral zone, where stories intertwine and individual morals aren't automatically shared, then Kendrick's move might not be surprising at all. In the end, the entire saga underscores the central tension that's simmered in hip-hop for years. Can an artist's moral stance coexist with questionable alliances? Should legal accusations overshadow artistic creation, especially before a final verdict? And do we, as listeners, have a duty to withhold support if we suspect wrongdoing behind the scenes? Kendrick has always embraced the gray areas, diving headfirst into controversies and personal confessions. This latest uproar, his features with Playboi Carti, is just another layer of that perpetual conflict. Maybe he sees it as an opportunity to prompt fresh thoughts, or maybe it's just a chance to make powerful music without moral disclaimers. So, where does it all land? Some will never forgive Kendrick for what they view as inconsistency or a breach of his moral code. Others find it perfectly in line with his long-standing message. We're all complicated, and collaboration doesn't equate to condoning every facet of someone's life. Ultimately, you get to decide. Does this shift your view of Kendrick as an artist who once took Drake to task? Or does it confirm he's simply human, battling contradictions in a world where nothing is strictly black or white? Either way, the conversation continues, and it's precisely that back and forth, the heated debates, the introspection, the demand for answers that keeps hip-hop culture alive and undeniably electrifying. Who's right? Who's wrong? The debate may rage on, but one thing's certain, people are talking, and Kendrick Lamar, as always, remains at the center of the storm. Maybe that's the real point. Maybe sparking dialogue is the ultimate purpose of any Kendrick Lamar collaboration. And if that's the case, then this might be one of his most revealing moves yet.